Okay, a very warm greetings to one and all present here. Dear authors and invited guests, welcome to the technical session 3C. Myself, Gargi Kalra, and this session would be moderated by me. On the behalf of Global Knowledge Research Foundation, it is my great pleasure to welcome you all to the 7th World Conference on Smart Trends in Systems, Security and Sustainability, World S4 2023, London, UK. The seventh edition of the conference is being organized in a hybrid mode. The physical event was held in London, UK on 21st of August 2023, and the virtual event is being held through Zoom today and tomorrow, that is 23rd and 24th of August. I hope you will enjoy the knowledgeable and interactive sessions throughout the day. In this session, we have 6 presentations. Each presenter will be given 12 minutes for the presentation and 3 minutes for questions and answers. On 10 minutes, I will raise a gentle reminder. There is one another request to all the participants that you all stay connected with us till the closing remarks. If you have any questions or query, then you can write it to me in the chat box. But just before we start the session, I would like to introduce you all to the chair for the session. So, we have Dr. Durgesh Kumar Mishra. Presently, he has been working as a director and professor at Symbiosis University of Applied Sciences, Indore, India. He is also a visiting faculty at IIT Indore, MP, India. He has 24 years of teaching and 10 years of research experience. He has published more than 90 papers in referred international, national journals and conferences, including IEEE ASEAN conferences. The next we have Dr. Nitesh Bhatt. He is a professor and chairperson of Indian Management Area at Institute of Management, Nirma University, Ahmedabad. He has more than 22 years of experience in academics, corporate training, and research. He is a member of the National Executive Committee of Special Interest Group by Computer Society of India. His research domain are e-governance, e-commerce, and enterprise applications. I welcome you both in this session, and if you want to say something, then you are free to do it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Gargi.
Thank you, sir.
Yes,
Please go ahead, Dr. Mishra. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Gargi, for the introduction. Good introduction, and thank you for the Nitesh who is joining with me as an one of the panel members. And I hope I will all of you are very researcher is joining with us for their paper presentations. As per the instruction from the Gargi, we will proceed it. Please, Nitesh.
Okay, thank you, Professor Mishra. Good evening, according to Indian time. I welcome all of you to the 7th World Conference on Smart Trends in Systems, Security, and Sustainability. 3 very important S. It would be our endeavor to learn more from the learned scholars and academicians who have assembled here from across the globe. And with this, we would like to start, and maybe towards the end, both of us would like to add something more. Over to you, Gargi.
Right.
Okay, thank you so much to both of you. So let's start with the paper presentation. Firstly, we are having the paper, a gamification-based tool to promote accessible design, and this will be presented by Mohammad Ghulam Lorgat. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yes, you can share the screen and start the presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. I don't know, shall I start?
Yes, sir, you are audible. Please go ahead.
Okay, once again, afternoon, everyone. My name is Mohammad Ghulam Lorgat. I'm here to present the paper titled A Gamification-Based Tool to Promote Accessible Design, authored by Mohammad Ghulam Lorgat, Uparej, and Tanya Rosher. Currently, the web is used by over 66% of the world's population, which is equivalent to 5 billion, and the number is expected to grow as time passes. Additionally, the human population with disability is rapidly expanding. more than 15% of people worldwide suffer from some form of disability, which is equivalent to 1 billion. And almost everyone is likely to experience some form of disability, whether permanent, temporary, at some point in their life. Therefore, it is crucial to create accessible websites to provide equal access to the web, minimize barriers for those with disabilities, and make it more usable for everyone. In addition, despite the existence of initiatives such as Y, websites are still inaccessible, and professionals with knowledge of accessibility and design abilities are hard to come by. Moreover, the Academy acknowledged the importance of incorporating accessibility in computer science curricula. Therefore, a novel approach is required to promote accessible design in the Academy in a non-tedious way, which is more engaging and motivating. Although, when talking about engaging and motivating, gamification comes to mind, and gamification has a reputation for inspiring, engrossing, and raising student achievement through the use of game design elements in a non-game context. It has not received much attention in the Academy. Therefore, an approach was presented in a previous paper, and that approach was applied, and its usefulness called, or the approach that was applied, it was resulted in a tool called Access Academy, and its usefulness, which uses gamification, is examined in the current paper study by addressing the following research question. Can a gamification-based artifact or tool help sensitize the software engineer students on the importance and need of web accessibility during design? And as the study follows the design science research methodology, two fundamental sub-objectives can be pointed out. First one, design and implement a gamification-based tool to teach web accessibility. Evaluate the same tool that was designed and implemented. As mentioned before, in the previous paper, an approach was proposed by the same authors. The approach started with first displaying videos of documentaries created by Y that depicted how people with disability, they engage and use technology and other products. Second, the WCAG 2.1 document is then briefly explained to the students, and a pre-test questionnaire is conducted. Later on, the Access Academy artifact is then presented to the students or participants. They use it, and the same tool is posted at the link presented. Finally, a post-test questionnaire is conducted, which is the copy or replica of the first test taken, but with an additional section that asks about the artifact used, its positive, negative characteristics, and how they would suggest to improve it. The artifact or tool engages and motivates users to learn and brush up on their knowledge in a fun way. It used HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, JavaScript, jQuery. Overall, it's a web-based quiz. The tool uses no database and was developed keeping in mind users from areas with extremely limited resources. An example of a challenge that appears in this quiz, the challenge disables the mouse functions and asks the users to fill and submit a form using only the keyboard. This way, the users will understand how a person who suffers from a disability, how he uses the web, how he fills the form. So this is an example. Later on, and the tool was evaluated. Its effectiveness was evaluated with software engineering students. and learning about accessibility and understanding the relevance of considering it during development. Access Academy was used during a web design course with third-year students offered at the engineering faculty of the Universidade Católica de Moçambique, which is in Mozambique. So 39 students who were invited, from which 38 males and 1 female, aged between 20 to 30 years, participated with consent. Results. The results were analyzed using descriptive statistics, the pre-test and post-test. So these are the results. And the results, they do not show a significant difference in the students' pre-test and post-test scores. However, the scores suggest a minor improvement in the post-test results. Moreover, the students were asked to comment on how to make Access Academy even better. The most common ones included making the Access Academy more accessible and functional so that people with disabilities could also utilize it. This was suggested by 7 students. To add more WCAG guideline scenarios and to provide a link to the web page describing a certain guideline after going through its scenario. Moreover, while 3 students did not provide any suggestion, they stressed how the Access Academy helped them understand the importance of web accessibility and initially how they would never consider people with disability while designing their websites or software. Conclusion. The results suggest a positive answer to the research question. After analyzing the test scores quantitatively, it was noted that the tool did not improve the students' knowledge on web accessibility. However, it did indeed help improve the students' knowledge on WCAG 2.1 and help them understand the importance of web accessibility as well. Moreover, as the quantitative results showed positive results, so did the qualitative ones. The students were also asked to evaluate the tool on a scale of 1 to 5 to identify some of its positive and negative characteristics and provide some suggestions to improve it as well. And results indicate that students found the tool to be an extremely useful educational tool to learn WCAG 2.1 guidelines, which they would recommend to others and use it to persuade their customer or company to include accessibility as a necessity in their project as well. Although the students identified some negative aspects of the tool, however, overall, the students were very happy with the development and efficiency in learning. Moreover, usually the WCAG guidelines are not very well received due to being extensive. However, most students appreciate the simplicity in which the tool presented the gamified WCAG guideline scenarios, from its organization, usability, and to its contents understandability. And while some students identified the same aspects as the tool's weak points, and on the other hand, instead of feeling overwhelmed with the number of scenarios, the students suggested to include more of them. On top of that, the students would eagerly retake the quiz numerous times to improve their points and obtain a better badge. As the Access Academy is still a prototype, future work involves the development of a stable version, keeping in mind the suggestions provided by the students. As of now, the prototype only has gamification elements such as challenges, points, and badges. And in the future, more mechanics or more elements can be added. And as the study only included the students, further study can be conducted to obtain the perception of the educators and web designers as well. Here are some references, and thank you all for the attention.
Yes, Mohammad Ghulam, can I ask you one question?
Yes.
Yes, how you have checked the learning progress in this? Is there any progress in the learning phase of the students?
Yes, there is. I used a questionnaire.
Yeah.
They filled the questionnaire prior to being exposed to the artifact.
Right.
And the same questionnaire they failed again after using the artifact. So they repeated the same test. And
What
it was,
what type of changes are there?
sorry?
What type of changes you have feel?
I felt that they learn more about WCAG instead of accessibility.
Okay.
The students, they didn't know anything about accessibility. And the objective was to teach them about accessibility, WCAG, everything.
Okay.
But they could understand more
over to
about
Dr.
WCAG.
Nitesh.
Any other participant has any question from Mohammed? Okay, just one observation, Muhammad Ghulam. One is the sample size
Yes.
was relatively small, 39, right? And there
Yes.
also composition of male and female was highly skewed. Only one female was there, right?
Yes.
So you yourself have
Yes.
stated that in the next page you would like to have some academicians and web designer. But before that, you can take
Yes.
a larger sample of students with almost better composition or equal composition of male and female, right? And maybe instead of just
Right.
third year,
Right.
other batches also. So that's the first observation. Second observation with regard to this is that you are talking about people with a disability. That is the essence and core of WCAG. So what disabilities you are trying to consider, whether it is vision related or hearing related, which type of disability are you trying to consider in the next stage? Right?
Thank you.
Yeah, take care. And are you a PhD student?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Shali, best wishes for your PhD, and we can go to the next candidate. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for this interactive presentation. Now, next we have the paper Analyzing Gen Z Interest in Virtual Reality Learning Environment as a Component of Metaverse Using RSM Design Approach. And this will be presented by Ega. Are you there? Yeah, you can start the presentation.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity that has given to me. Introduce myself. My name is Ega Mardoyo. I'm from Bandung, Indonesia. And in this presentation, I representative my other friends. And in this opportunity, I will present about my paper is analyzing Generation Z interest in virtual reality learning environment as a component of metaverse using RSM design approach. And this is for the outline, background, problem identification, literature review, research methodology, result, and discussion. Okay, the first slide is about Generation Z. There is for the Generation Z is born between 1995 and 2010, and some people others say that the Generation Z is born from 1997 to 2012. In this picture, we can say that Generation Z is a digitally savvy generation, and then lives with internet, smart, technology savvy, connected, education, familiar with gadget, tablets, and cell phone. If we associate with this year, the range of the ages of the Generation Z is between 11 to 26 years old. And this is some infographic, the population in Indonesia. Um, into 2020, the BPS, it means the Indonesia Central Bureau Statistic, has been survey. There is 2020 million people population in Indonesia. There is maybe six of generation, and if we see the infographic, the Generation Z is dominate all generation in Indonesia. It means that maybe the largest number of young people who lead Indonesia in demographic bonus should be grateful for, considering that many countries are experiencing the population of the younger generation, and this generation Z is will play a very important role for Indonesia in the future. This is some picture about the range of generation Z in Indonesia. It is from 11 to 26 years old range of years old, and the red one is from elementary school with red clothes, and then junior high school is for dark blue clothes, and the light blue clothes is senior high school, and the college higher education the employee. And there is some range years old of generation Z in Indonesia. And the problem identification, learning with traditional approach or methods by focusing on teacher makes lesson boring and less accepted by student. And then each generation Z prefers learning in visual form that is fun and they are influenced in it. Each generation Z interest in learning process using interactive technology device and expect to get the same learning improvement as their virtual world. We can maybe we move some slide about the metaverse. If you see the image, the slide, there is some film called Ready for a Player One. Maybe this movie is reference maybe for the technology company like Meta. Meta wants develop some metaverse, maybe reference from this movie. And from Yogesh, there is some keyword about metaverse. It is experience immersive, interaction, socialization, virtual world headset, and the avatar. And next, about the metaverse, I get from Gupta. Um, According from Gupta, there is some component about metaverse. First is social networks, and then Web 3.0, blockchains, financial system services, mobile platforms, entertainment platforms, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, edge computing. There is in display using extended reality. There is consists three technology. There is virtual reality, mixed reality, and augmented reality. From this definition, I can say that virtual reality is one of component of the metaverse. And when we move to the virtual reality, according to Tang and the others, virtuality is about realistic experience, virtual world, interactive, immersive, and three-dimension. There is some component of virtual reality. There is a hardware and the software. Okay, next is virtual reality implementation. I get from Pakisco in 2019. There is a lot of field that using virtuality for the implementation, and for this from this survey, I get that the healthcare and medical devices is a biggest field that using virtual reality from the implementation, and the education, workforce development, and so on. Interest definition. Interest is a defined a high inclination towards accordance that contains element of feeling. Interest can also be interpreted as a involuntarily concentration of attention that is born with a will and a related talent and the improvement. And this is some past for past some making some interesting interest individual. It is past one is trigger situation interest, and past two is maintenance situation interest, past three is emergency individual interest, past four is well development individual interest. Okay, for the research method, I'm using a qualitative method with narrative approach. It is using some collecting data, interview, and observation to get the experience. And that for the conceptual model, I'm using RSM design approach. What is RSM design approach? It means recognize, scrutinize, and material. There is three process. Recognize, it means uh, doing some requirement analysis and then doing some user specification and feature selection. And for the scrutinize, is doing consists of iterative mock-up, alternate paid scenario case, and for the materialize is visual dashboard, rapid prototype, and the test acceptance. Recognize in this research, I'm designing, development, and evaluation the virtual reality software. And recognize making some scenario VR and then storyboard VR, asset planning some asset and the material. And from the scrutinize, I'm designing the scenario interest, design UI and UX, and 3D asset. And for the materialize is some development of implementation and the testing. This is some two of application that I built. First application is about virtual class that the user is learn about some climate in using that Oculus Quest headset. And the second one is virtual laboratorium. It is from for assembly CNC machine. In this learning simulation, user can interaction, can grabbing, can hold, can throw, and can make the assembling the machine. This is the two of software that I developed, and this is the documentation for the testing. Testing from senior high school and the higher education, and then for the employee that come from Generation Z in Indonesia. This is the testing for the higher education and the employee. And this is for the questionnaire and the answer. And the question is, have you ever used VR before? I get that for people in Indonesia, maybe for the respondent is never used. 14 people has never used VR and 4 people has used VR. Seeing from this data, there are still many respondents who have never used VR due to several factors. Namely, VR has not become equipment as popular as cell phone, even games like PlayStation VR. It itself is still a special item because it is considering to have an expensive price compared to smartphone and PlayStation. And for the question two, how do you feel when using VR? They say that attractive scale question relate to how user experience or feel. This result is student who answer almost all responded had a positive experience. And question number three, how about the operation or use of VR? It is easy. The average respondent said that it was easy, but there was a user statement about the controller used from Oculus, where the respondent need time to adjust how to use it. And the question four, are you interested in your learning process using VR and why? Or respond answer said they were interested. There is something interesting about the answer of high school students who associate games with VR. And the last one, will virtual reality technology play an important role in the learning process in the future? The average respondent answer gives a positive impression. And this is for the observation using user satisfaction measurement questionnaire result. And for the scale, it is dominate with the excellent, and 6 people say that like using virtual reality. And the conclusion is learning for the problem identification, learning with traditional approach method by focusing on the teacher makes lesson boring and accepted. Gen Z is very interested about virtual reality and feels like very good at using VR in the learning improvement. And then the second one is VR can be a fun alternative to learning because it is visual by producing object like real or immersive. And number three, answer VR is interactive technology device, and this answer the problem from recently because learning using VR use interactive technology. Plus, from the result and the study that they use, VR is like to play virtual games like they usually do. And the conclusion is, furthermore, to answer the hypothesis, researchers get the result that Generation Z is very interested and enthusiastic about use of VR as a learning media. Maybe, according to the Gen Z, VR technology has enormous potential in the future, especially in the learning improvement, because Gen Z thinks that the development of VR technology is important as a learning medium in the future. The use of virtual reality technology itself will be more massive and large if metaverse ecosystem has been formed and the price device is cheap and easy to obtain and the supporting technology is present. That's all my presentation. Thank you very much.
Is Iga
Yes, sir.
Mario. Okay.
Yes.
This, what's the outcome of your research if this is a generation Z is highly used this metaverse, then where we can use this these facilities in the future?
Okay. Maybe in this research, I'm used when the event of education. Maybe I can share something. I'm used this in some virtual reality education fair.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yes. And in the class, and the lab,
In the class we can use.
in the class and the events for the higher education in class or and for senior high school in some event of educational.
Okay. Okay now. Okay.
Any other participant has any question from Iga and the team? Okay. Iga, go to third last slide.
Slide.
Go to previous slide, just a prior one, where research questions are given. Yeah, just one prior to this.
Where slides?
I don't remember the number. Just one slide prior to conclusion. Yeah, this one. Just hold on now.
Okay, this one.
No, this one. Yes, please.
Okay.
Now, first of all, two observations from my side. One, as I told Muhammad Gulam, your sample size is too small to conclude. Right? It's, I think, 11, 12, something you mentioned. It's too small to conclude. That's the first observation. As a researcher, you should know. Second thing, your title speaks about virtual reality, and it's an overall part of metaverse, right?
Yes.
Right.
Right.
Metaverse, right? Now, yes. As a researcher, as a student, as an academician, I'm sure all of you will agree, and all the people will agree here. There was a lot of hype around metaverse when it was started.
Yes.
There was a lot of hype, but the developments in last 2 to 3 years around metaverse is that metaverse is either declining or that hype cycle is over. And many people say that metaverse is not picking up. And few evidences of metaverse not picking up in the real world is that Microsoft has already stopped its metaverse project after investing billions of dollars. So is the case of Disney, and so is the case of many other IT companies also. right? However, whether metaverse will succeed, we do not know, but virtual reality is going to be there with us. That is for sure. These are the two observations. Now, the last part from my side, in such a type of design, right? Of course, we can ask a question and you ask anyone, it can be you or it can be me, people will definitely be enthusiastic about such technology like VR or gaming console or something like that. But if we truly want to see the efficacy of such technology, we need to do experiment. This is a suggestion. We need to do experiment. For example, let's say two group. You must have heard about control group, experiment, all that. One group who is getting the training, let's say English, mathematics, science, physics, social study, any history. One group getting a training using VR, another group getting a training using a conventional medium, which your first question says it's a boring. And maybe a third group where it's a hybrid model. Initially using a multimedia based thing, gamification, virtual reality, immersive one, which may be further explained by a faculty members like you and me and so. And with these 2 or 3 different type of experimental design, maybe after 6 months down the line, 1 year down the line, probably this can be a longitudinal study of 4 to 5 years. Then we see on multiple parameters this can be assessed. Retention part, understanding part, application part, right? On skills, knowledge, right? That's where this can be tested, right? That is just a observation from my side. And the last thing from my side, and there are a lot of young researchers here, look at the first problem identification, a research question which you have written. A research question itself is highly skewed and it's a biased. See the research question. Research question you are writing is that learning with traditional approaches or methods by focusing on teachers makes the lessons boring or less accepted. Right? Probably the better research question, right? I understand your spirit and I appreciate that. A better research question is how to make learning immersive with the help of blended technology. How to increase the attention span of the student, how to increase the competency level with blended. So this is just one of my suggestion. I think somebody is raising hand also. He or she can add some points, please.
Okay. Thank you, Professor.
Anyone having any further questions?
Okay, thank you, Iga, and all the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Ega, for your presentation. So let's move to the next one. And the next paper is Design and Implementation of a Combined Photovoltaic and Telecommunication System in the Pacaya Semiria Amazon Lodge Private Reserve in the Amazon jungle. And it will be represented by Johan Beltian. Are you there?
Yes, I am. I'm here.
Yes, you can share your screen.
Okay, thank you. Hi, thank you for the opportunity to present our project. I'm Johan Baldeón, Associate Professor at the Pontificia Universidad Católica del Perú, and I'm going to present the project Design and Implementation of a Combined Photovoltaic and Telecommunication System in the Pacaya Samiria Amazon Lodge Private Reserve in the Amazon jungle. In the first place, I will present you about what is Época Pacaya project. Next, I will present the methodology we use for the design and implementation of the photovoltaic telecommunication system in the Pacaya Samiria Amazon Lodge. Then I will move on the results and their implications. After, we will see the practical applications as well as the challenges. And finally, I will show you the conclusions. Let me show you.
You know, there is a place deep in the Peruvian Amazon jungle that is covered by more than 90% of virgin forest, shelters around 6,000 species, and is also part of the 7 wonders of nature in the world. But yes, This magical place is called Pacaya Samiria, a huge wetland reserve and also a vast region of undiscovered treasures. And right in the buffer area of Pacaya Samiria lies Pacaya Samiria Amazon Lodge, an eco-lodge that has been operating touristic services for more than 15 years now, and where one of the most challenging and innovative projects in the Amazon has recently been implemented. And do you know something? In the next 10 minutes, you will be first-hand witness of that particular project. I'm Adol for that. And on behalf of Pacaya Samiria Amazon Lodge, I welcome you to EcoPacaya 4.0, a project that integrates technology and biodiversity like no other place in the world.
EcoPacaya 4.0 is the first project that integrates expert knowledge about local biodiversity and augmented reality technology. It has been developed by a team made up of Pacaya Samiria Amazon Lodge operational staff, the Pontifical Catholic University of Peru technological team,
Mr.
and has
Johan.
been co-financed by ProInnovati from the
Hello,
Ministry
Mr. Johan.
of Production
Yeah.
of Peru.
This video is very interesting, but I think we would like to see your
Pacaya
research
Samiria
work.
Amazon Lodge is the
Oh,
only eco
okay.
lodge that has
Please come to
130
your work.
hectares of primary forest. That is an application on his mobile device and select any of the 5 available eco trails. The system will guide him to the start of that particular eco trail. And from there, the system will detect the presence of the visitor in front of each of the species, and a virtual guide will appear to inform him about the characteristics and traditional use in the Amazon of the species he's looking at, both in Spanish and English. Let's take the Fauna Eco Trail as an example. That is designed to provide visitors with expert knowledge on several emblematic species of the Amazon fauna.
We have reached the place where one of the most enigmatic characters of the Amazon night lives, the banks of rivers and lakes.
Achievement of the EcoPacaya 4.0 project is the Biodiversity Portal, a collaborative site that allows researchers, scientists, and society in general to search, access, view, and download quality information on the biodiversity of the area, thus facilitating the research efforts. The Biodiversity Portal is a first step towards the development of the citizen science, a trend that consists of the participation of society in general in the provision of information about nature. The biodiversity.
Okay.
Our future plans include
This is an introduction about the project. The Pacaya Samiria Amazon Lodge Private Reserve is a paradise on the world. And the primary objective of this work, or this research, is design and implement a photovoltaic system tailored to the energy demand of the Pacaya Samiria Amazon Lodge. This includes assessing the energy requirements, selecting appropriate components, and optimizing the system design to harness solar energy efficiently. The other objective is design and implement a telecommunication system that enables reliable communication within the reserve. This involves selecting suitable technologies, establishing a robust infrastructure, and ensuring adequate coverage and connectivity. About the methodology. The methodology employed for the design and implement of the combined photovoltaic communication system consists of 7 steps. The first, site assessment and the planning. Conduct a thorough assessment of ecological locations to understand the geography and environmental factors that may influence the design implementation of the combined system. Because this place is very, very hard for any technology. They identify suitable locations for solar panel installation, considering factors such as open space and shade areas, and structural integrity. Then assess the availability of existing utilities and telecommunications infrastructure and determine optimal locations for equipment placement to ensure service availability in important areas of the ecology. The next step is the energy demand analysis. It consists in quantify the energy demand of the Pacaya media and gather data of energy consumption. The third step is the photovoltaic system design. The design of photovoltaic system based on the energy demand analysis and solar resource assessment. Select appropriate solar panel technologies, considering factors such as efficiency, durability, and suitable for the Amazon jungle. Then determine the optimal capacity of the system, considering the energy demand, operating autonomy, operating voltage, and available spaces to be used in the installation progress. Finally, design the electrical configuration, including the selection of charge controllers, inverters, and battery banks to ensure efficient energy conservation and storage. The fourth step is the telecommunication system design. For this, we have to select appropriate telecommunication technologies based on connectivity requirements on the reserve. Determine the optimal capacity of the system, considering energy demands, autonomy, operating voltage, etc. And then design the electrical configuration, including the selection of charge controllers, inverters, and battery banks also. The 5 steps is component selection and procurements, identifying and procuring high-quality photovoltaic communication components for reliable suppliers. The 6th step is the installation and integration. This consists in execute the installation of the photovoltaic system, ensuring proper placement and safe assembly of solar panels, batteries, and the other components. The 7th step is monitoring and performance evaluation. For this, we implement a comprehensive monitoring system to track the performance of the photovoltaic and telecommunication system. For the results, before starting with the sizing of the energy system, it's necessary to know the availability of energy service and the sites, which is only generated by a diesel engine prioritizing lighting and certain sectors of the ecology. So the energy demand of the new equipment must use our power system. This is a big problem because the combustible, the fuels is very low, is a high cost in the ecology. Due to the dense vegetation, coverage is guaranteed with wireless equipment, in 2, 4, and 5 gigahertz frequencies and 1915 megahertz to the itinerant sector. Hence, according to the physical distribution of the telecommunication equipment in the framework of guaranteed coverage, the spaces for installing the photovoltaic system and the physical infrastructure are established. Therefore, we design 3 areas to be required on the generation of energy with photovoltaic system. About the energy demand, analysis revealed that due to the limitation of the electricity supply inside the lodge, it's necessary to have equipment that generates electrical energy for the operation of telecommunication equipment, made up, in this case, of photovoltaic equipment like solar panels, batteries, controllers, installations, accessories. According to the results obtained, we had to the numbers of panels, in this case is 4 number of panels, and batteries to be required per the station site. Based on the energy demand analysis, the photovoltaic system was designed with a capacity of less than 100 watts, since most of the sites have low energy consumption equipment, in which, according to each site, depending on the number of routers, access points, inverters for satellite modems, etc., we decide how to install and how to determine the adequate equipment. On the other hand, the design specification include from 1 to 2 solar panels with an efficiency of 20.57% for 550 panels and 19.26% for 325 panels. Both are American panel solars and use a battery bank with a storage capacity of 150 ampere hours. During the sizing and component selection process, we emphasize where each component was placed to ensure the capacity and the fidelity of the signal for each visitors. Panels were chosen for their proven performance and durability, and their availability according to our market, because the equipment are not available in our country for the difficult of the region. This is the connection diagram that contemplates all the components belonging to all the stations we installed. About the installation process, consists of setting up infrastructure to house the solar panels in which were installed of the optimal orientation until angle to maximize the use of solar irradiation.
Sir, we request you to please conclude.
I'm sorry?
Please conclude in next 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. The installation process consists of setting infrastructure with 2 solar panels and every equipment that we need in the project. About the velocity or the speed of the access to the internet was very important and very crucial to the project, because the visitors gives very important, or is very important for the user experience. About the implication of practical applications, this is the successful deployment of the combined photovoltaic system highlights its potential as sustainable energy solution for ecotourism facilities. Reducing the reliance on fossil fuels, such system can significantly minimize the carbon footprint and environmental impact associated with the energy generation. Also, enhanced communication infrastructure for remote areas was so important. Also, socioeconomic implications and community engagement, because the community was very influenced by the project. The environmental conservation and carbon footprint reduction, it was so important because the reason for the project was reduce the pollution in the area. Also, the economic viability and cost analysis was very important, because this is sustainability in the time, and the ecology wants to control their costs. There we have to make technological advancement and knowledge transfer, doing a transfer technological package to other ecologists in the region of Peru. Some challenges and limitations are environmental constraints and weather variability is very important, because the area is very, very crude to any technology. Some logistical aspects are important for any project in the region. Technical constraints and system integration, because the equipments, the combined photovoltaic and telecommunication requires careful planning and coordination. there are limited resources and infrastructure. Also, we have to make considerations about the financial or obviously the return of investments.
Thank you, Johan. Thank you. I think we understood this, and we can have maybe one question from Dr. Durgesh. Sir.
You may ask, please.
Please go ahead, sir. Please go ahead. My questions are answered. I wanted to ask about the challenges they faced.
Right. Go ahead, and then there is no question from my side. If the other participants are having the question, then can.
Yes. But otherwise, I really appreciate the nature of the project, looking into the challenge and looking into the sustainability goals of the world. And please go ahead with the similar types of initiatives in the future. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Gargi,
you,
please.
for your presentation. So let's move to the next presentation. And the next is developing predictive models for smart policing based on Baltimore's crime and product price correlation. And this will be presented by Maliha Mumtaz. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, all right. Good morning,
Maliha,
everyone.
Maliha, you have 12 minutes. Please take care of that.
Okay, all right, I will. Okay, so hi everyone. Our topics is developing predictive models for smart policing based on Baltimore's crime and product price correlation. So at first, we'd like to introduce ourselves. The first one is me. I'm Maliha Mumtaz. The second is Joyce Pedala. Third is Rodney Leslie, and fourth is Dr. Faisal Kader. So Baltimore is a city in Maryland where the renowned John Hopkins Hospital and University is situated. It is a very historical city where the United States national anthem was originated. Although it has a glorious history, crime occurs very frequently in this city, and economic inflation has become a major issue, especially during and after the COVID-19 pandemic. So people commit crimes due to financial need and stress. Some crimes like larceny, robbery, or burglary, these things happen more frequently during economic inflation. There are some other crimes like shooting, arson, or homicide. They may also happen during economic inflation. So in this work, we have created predictive models which can categorize various crimes based on the consumer price index of different types of products along with other factors. So our work has some real life applications, like it can help the local and city government as well as the affected communities to reduce crimes. Also, necessary measures could be taken to minimize crimes and societal impacts. And number of police could be increased in high crime zones, and alert could be introduced whenever an increase in CPI is noticed, and certain product prices could be reduced in order to minimize crimes. So now we'd like to talk about our data set. So our aim is to explore the relationship between crime and economic inflation in Baltimore, Maryland. So we collected the Baltimore crime data set from the Open Baltimore website, which initially contained 5,53,509 rows and 19 columns. And the CPI dataset, we took it from the Consumer Price Index website. And specifically, we took the Baltimore Thorson Columbia dataset. Then we merged the crime and the CPI dataset using a common attribute, which is date. Then our final dataset contained 291,601 rows and 20 columns. And we did some exploratory data analysis on our crime data set, and then we found some interesting things like most of the crimes occurred in the Northeast Baltimore district and the Baltimore downtown neighborhood. And the types of crime contained by our dataset are larceny, assault, burglary, robbery, shooting, homicide, rape, and arson. We also found that larceny was the most common crime committed, and most of the crimes occurred on streets. So we derived some correlation between crimes and product prices, and them graphically. So for all the graphs, the x-axis contains the years and y-axis contains the percentage of crime and product prices. So for the first, in all the curves, it can be seen that at a few points, they do not show any correlation or show any, but at most of the crime, most of the graphs, they follow a similar trend. The first curve is for larceny and product price. So from 2013 to 2015, both larceny and product price decreased a little bit and then stayed flat from almost flat from 2015 to 2018. After 2020, both of them increased. So it was the time during the COVID-19 pandemic. The second curve is for common assault and product price. So both of them decreased from 2013 to 2015 and increased again from 2015 to around 2019. But after 2020, both of them increased again. The third is for aggravated assault and product price. So from 2013 to 14, they both of them stayed flat, and 2015 to 2018, both of them increased again. After 2020, the product price has had a sharp increase, but the aggravated assault at first increased a little bit and then stayed flat and decreased again. And for robbery, product price and robbery stayed flat in 2013 and 14. From 2015 to 18, both of them increased. But after 2020, product price had a sharp increase, although robbery stayed flat. So we also derived some correlation coefficient for some time spans between crimes and product prices from 2013 to 2022. Common assault showed a good correlation with product price and the coefficient was 0.7. From 2016 to 18, both common and aggravated assault showed good correlation with product prices, and the coefficient for common assault was 0.996 and aggravated assault was 0.98. From 2020 to 2022, larceny, common assault, and robbery showed good correlation with product prices, and the coefficient for larceny was 0.6, common assault was 0.88, and robbery was 0.85. So the time spent 2020 to 2022, it was a time of the COVID-19 pandemic. So it can be noticed that during the pandemic time, most of the crime correlated very properly with the with product prices. For our programming purpose, we used Python as our programming language along with its library, NumPy, Pandas, and Matplotlib. For machine learning algorithm, we used scikit-learn, Keras, and TensorFlow. And we followed some steps for the prediction purpose. At first, we extracted the Baltimore crime dataset from the Open Baltimore website, and then performed data cleansing and eliminated the null values from our dataset. Then we categorized our target variable. For the multi-class classification, we made 5 categories, and for the binary, we made 2 categories. Then we encoded our independent and dependent variables. For encoding the independent variables, for some features, we followed the ordinal encoding, and for some features, we followed one-hot encoding. For dependent variables, we encoded it with label encoder. Then we performed feature scaling in order to bring all the features in a similar scale. Then we implemented feature selection techniques in order to find which features are considered important for the prediction purpose. In our tasks, we followed forward selection and backward elimination process. And then finally, we predicted crimes using machine learning models. So for the prediction, at first we splitted our dataset into training set and test set. The training set contained 70% and the test set contained 30% of dataset. Then we performed both multi-class and binary classification. For multi-class classification, we made 5 categories in the target variable. The first category is larceny, robbery, or burglary. The second one is common and aggravated assault. The third is homicide and shooting. Fourth is arson, and fifth is rape. For the binary classification, we made 2 categories in the target variable. One is severe crime and one is moderate crime. Severe crime refers to the crimes like homicide, shooting, arson, and rape. and moderate crime refers to crimes like larceny, burglary, robbery, common assault, and aggravated assault. And for the evaluation purpose, we derived the accuracy of our models with 10-fold cross-validation. Also, we derived the AUROC scores. So these are the models we used, and these are the accuracies of our model. So for the multi-class classification, random forest and logistic regression gave the best results, but decision tree and k-nearest neighbor also performed well. Artificial neural network did not perform that good, and Bayesian network gave the worst result. On the other hand, for the binary classification, decision tree and random forest gave the best results. Logistic regression, k-nearest neighbors, and artificial neural network also performed very good, but again, the Bayesian network gave the worst results. So it can be noticed here that binary classification performs better than multi-class classification. And these are the AUROC scores generated by our models. For the multi-class classification, decision tree and random forest gave the best scores, and other scores for other models are around 0.5. For the binary classification, again, decision tree and random forest gave the best scores, and other scores are 0.5. So it can be said that the model gave random performance or better than random performance. For our artificial neural network, we used ReLU activation function for the input and the middle layer. And in the output layer, for the multi-class classification, we used softmax. And for the binary classification, we used sigmoid function. Also, we used Adam optimizer, and for calculating the loss, in the multi-class classification, we used categorical cross entropy. And for the binary classification, we used binary cross entropy. Also, we used the accuracy matrix, 32 batch size and 100 epochs. So we did some visualizations on our crime data set in order to present overall scenario of Baltimore crimes. The first one is crimes by neighborhood. So it can be seen that most of the crime occurred in the Baltimore downtown, followed by Frankfurt and Bel Air Edison. The second one is incidents by premise type. So most of the crimes occurred on streets, followed by townhouse and apartments. The third one is for crimes committed by time range. So most of the times occurred during 9 p.m. to midnight, followed by 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. and 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And here is a map which presents a crime location by premises in Baltimore City. So in our analysis and visualizations, we found that most common crime was larceny. So here is a map which presents a scenario of larceny in Baltimore districts. And here is a map which presents crimes by district in Baltimore City, and here is a bar graph which shows that most of the crime occurs in the Northeast Baltimore district, followed by Southeast and Central Baltimore. And so Northeast Baltimore was the district whose crime occurs most frequently. And this is a map which presents a scenario of crime in Baltimore, Northeast Baltimore district. Also, we derived the number of crimes in each individual year for 2015 to 2023, and also the number of times each individual crimes occurred during these 9 years. So most of the crimes occurred in 2017, and we also found that larceny was the most common crime, followed by assault and robbery. So in our work, we performed data analysis and hypothesis to show that there exists a correlation between crimes and CPI, and some crimes like larceny, robbery, and assault showed good correlation with product prices. We also did visualizations and exploratory data analysis in order to present an overview of Baltimore crimes. Also, we derived the correlation coefficient between crimes and product prices for different time spans. Then we implemented the feature selection techniques to see what features are considered important for the prediction purpose. And then we developed predictive models based on economic condition, which could be very beneficial in tackling and reducing the number of crimes. And they can also be used for smart policing and informing city government funding decision and resource allocation. So there are a few points we'd like to focus on the future. We want to improve the accuracies of our multi-class classification model. We want to investigate if there are any other features or factors which can play a significant role for the prediction purpose. Also, we want to implement our models on other cities crime data set, which are known to have high number of criminal activities. Thank you.
Maliha, I asked one question.
Okay.
During these feature extractions, which method you have to use for the feature extraction first? The second is which of the feature is more significant for your accurate result?
Yeah, so we followed the forward feature selection technique and the backward elimination technique. So for the forward feature techniques, let me show you. Yeah, so these are for the multi-class classification, the forward feature selection techniques features like crime month, crime day, age, race, district, neighborhood, premise, apparel, education, etc. And for the backward, it suggested crime year, crime month, crime day, age, race, district, neighborhood, premise, commodities, apparel, education. Yeah, so backward suggested more number of features than forward.
Which feature is most significant for your best result?
Actually, they suggested a combination of feature. There is no individual feature they suggested. So I think the feature suggested by the forward, it was also suggested by the backward elimination. But some of the features are in backward, they were not suggested in the forward. So I think as both of them are suggested, like this crime month, crime day, age, race, so the features suggested by the forward, so they are the most important for the prediction purpose.
Okay, thank you from my side.
Yeah, thank you.
Any participant has any question? Maliha, one of your co-author was also here, Dr. Faisal, I believe.
Yes, he is here. Yes.
Is he still here?
I think so. Yes.
Okay. Come to the 20th slide, please. 20.
20. Okay. Yes, here.
Okay. First of all, I really appreciate the kind of the work which your team has done, and you should definitely take it forward.
Yeah, thank
Two
you
questions.
very much.
So, have you presented your findings to the policymakers?
No, I have not yet. After finishing, this was my class project actually with Dr. Faisal Kader. He was an instructor. So after finishing this, we have just submitted it here and it got accepted. So after the presentation and the conference, we'll move forward with it and maybe present it to the.
We suggest that the policymakers, specifically the police authority, should know, and accordingly they can make something.
Yeah, sure.
One small observation from my side. The last point which you are mentioning, that is developed crime prediction models based on economic conditions.
Yes.
Now, if my understanding is correct, economic condition you are referring to is a price part, product price, isn't it?
Yes, the product price part. Yes.
Right. But when you talk about economic condition, crime is a determinant of a lot of things where price is just one determinant.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Right. So when you talk about economic conditions, there may be a lot of other things. For example, overall gross domestic product.
Yeah.
Price is inflation, right?
Yes.
Okay. When price rises, inflation, but overall gross domestic product, then per capita income.
Yeah. That's why
unemployment, poverty. So there are a lot of things also. So maybe when you write it further, you can just talk about pricing or price of a certain basket of the product rather than overall economic condition, because that presents as if we have taken all the other parameters also rather than just one or two which you have taken, that is the price part.
Okay, got it. Yeah, that's a point. And also we mentioned in the future works like we are willing to discover if there are any other features.
I'm aware. That's a good initiative, and congratulations. Good work. Take it forward, please. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Maliha, for this informative presentation. Thank you so much. So let's move to the next presentation. And the next one is simulation of a querying system in the customer service area of a gas station, Lima, Peru. And this will be presented by Kevin Ebner. You can share your screen and start the presentation.
Okay, I'm going to start. Um, okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. My paper is Simulation of a Queuing System in the Customer Service Area of a Gas Station in Lima, Peru. The authors are Kevin Abner Garcia Ramirez, myself, Alan William Jax Alizarga, Mario Ninakis Pesoto, Yasmina Riega Viru, Alicia Riojas Cañari. First, we're going to start with the introduction. And the problem here is our waiting lines, which cause bottlenecks in many countries around the world. These have negative impact and affect the quality of service that organizations provide. First, we have the United States with a significant problem in a wagon manufacturing company, which have bottlenecks, and they implemented a cyber physical systems to monitor productions, and then they model the production in ProModel software. Then we have Cuba, a company specializing in copying disk. They want to increase the capacity of its equipment, but before making a decision, they need to assess their current capacity and determine if it's worth it or not to invest in more capacity. Then we have Peru. A study analyzed the waiting time in the years 200. Well, they were studying years before the pandemic, and they want to know if the reason the increases of the contagion of the disease was for the pandemic or not. And in Lima, Peru, there are numerous problems related to long waiting lines at gas stations, and these situations are due to various external factors, such as abnormal waves that have forced the closure of ports or international conflict that have affected the availability of fuel supplies. Waiting lines are a common and ubiquitous phenomenon in many commercial and service contexts. Due to long waiting lines and the traffic near the avenue where the gas station was located, in our project, the arrival times and waiting times of a fuel station with 6 pumping stations were evaluated. The objective of this research is to analyze, model, and simulate a service process in the supply service of a gas station and make a proposal for improvement. The methodology. First, we are gonna gather the data. First, each type of fuel has 2 pumps. We're gonna gather the arrival time of the 3 different types of cars. There are light, medium, or heavy cars. Time. We also are gonna take time of the services in the different fuel dispensers. The first step is observe the arrival times of the vehicles and the service times. This process took us 2 weeks of observation. Second, we are gonna study and analyze the behavior of the random variables in the StatFit program. The objective was to determine the type of probability distribution that fits best the data. Subsequently, we calculated the confidence interval and the error to identify variations or bias. For the construction of the simulation process, we use locations, arrivals, and how the process was moving in the ProModel simulation program. The duration of the simulation also needs to be calculated. We use a pilot, our pilot test, and this will allow knowing when is going to stabilize the variables that we choose for our problem. Next, We calculated that it was a 125-hour simulation, and with the results analyzed, we are gonna make an improvement proposal to solve the problem identified. We have the observation report, in which we take the type of vehicles, time of arrivals, time of rotation, type of fuel, and the entry of the vehicle. We are going to show the results. First, the gas station flowchart, in which the customer arrives and he have to question if it's going to choose gasoline, LPG, or NGV. And selecting one of them is going to the fuel dispatcher. And if the fuel dispatcher is not available, it's gonna wait in the line and return to the service. If it's free, it's gonna filling his vehicle, and then it's going to the invoice inquiry. If he doesn't want, a ticket is issued. If he wants it, invoice is issued, and then the customer exit. We're gonna need the descriptive statistics of waiting times. This data is going to be used in the ProModel software to simulate the vehicles, the entry of the vehicles and the exit. Then data based on type of cars and the time of serve arrivals. The distribution of service time of the different cars, all of them are log normal, and one is heavy, LPG and gasoline is normal. The other ones are log normal. The distribution, the arrival of in the different dispensers, heavy only comes from input 1. The others can enter for input 1 or 2. We're gonna start with the creation of the simulation. We have our pumps and our entries and a decision space in which the cars are gonna choose one kind of fuel. We created 3 entities, which are the types of vehicle that we mentioned before. The process construction is gonna be step by step, in which every car enters from entry 1 and entry 2, and then it goes to the decision and goes to every different kind of pump. Then they go to the refueling area and to the nearest exit. In the process construction, we are gonna take this if entity equals the vehicle, and it's gonna wait certain time is to filter all those vehicles with each one, light, medium, and heavy, and a counter to know how much vehicles are running through this pump and in each one. Then the vehicles go to the exit and the process ends. This is how it is modeled in the software. Then we calculated the simulation length. First, we use 140 hours. This was pilot hours. And then we estimated 125 hours is here, using the variable utilization percentage. And in the analysis of the results, the variable utilization was with this pump NGV, because we noted it was too low in utilization. So respect to the others, no, low utilization respect to the others. As we see here, it's low utilization. We are not using this pump too much. So we are going to look for an improvement. So we are going to reduce the number of NGV pumps and increase the capacity of the pumps. So we make this improvement, and the utilization goes from 49.9% to 67.7%. and the number of cars or
Kevin,
vehicles.
sorry to interrupt you. I would like to request you to please conclude your presentation.
What?
Would you please conclude your presentation? It's already 10 minutes.
Yes, I'm going to end.
Okay.
2 more slides.
Thank
It's important to know the objectives of the organization and prioritize those that are important. It's been observed that one of the pumps is not much used as the others, which is what which is what make us this is why we make an improvement proposal regarding this problem. And thank you so much.
Professor Mishra. Professor Durgesh, are you here? Okay, I think his connection is lost. Kevin, it's a good work related to a queuing system. So, like the question which I asked Maliha, did you present your findings to some gas station or petrol pumps? And what was the response?
No, I taking the data from only observation and didn't request or speak to the gas station just by observation. Yes.
So actual users or beneficiary of the research which you have done are the owners actually, right? So if these findings are beneficial to them, useful to them, they can adopt these type of thing in terms of technology or product design or everything like that, right? So
right. Yes.
Good. I really appreciate. What was the size of the sample for this data set?
It was 50 for
50.
For every pump, and we take 2 weeks taking the data. It's a little sample. I know
So
that.
total, how many pumps you contacted?
6 pumps and 50 vehicles for each one.
So total 300 people, is it?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much and all the best.
Thank you.
We request the last presenter to come, please, and take care of the time.
Thank you so much, Kevin. And the next we have the importance of big data and IoT in smart cities. George, you can start your presentation.
Good afternoon. I'm present I begin the present of the article whose term the importance of big data and the IoT in smart cities. Very well. Agenda introduction characterize smart city, big data, and IoT. Methodology, case study for a smarter future, discussion and conclusion. Is the agenda. It's important is the stack in the introduction and the age of digitization masters to societies around of the world. The smart city is classification implies the optimization, the public service, better urban service, information sharing, quality of life and well-being of citizens using big data and the Internet of Things, IoT technology. Is important to the local governments. Local and public governments must promote policies conducive to the implementation of smart technologies. The design of a smart city must have the active involvement of citizens in the city initiatives. It's important is the stack. The IoT device allow decision makers to gain insight in residents' needs and preference, optimize the delivery and service such to transportation, energy, waste management, and public safety. And the big data. Big data allows the implementation of strategic environmental policies such as energy efficiency and conservation, or to the optimization of transport system, or for the reduction the carbon emission. Big data and the IoT technology make it possible to identify emerging trends, anticipate future challenges, and proactively develop innovative solutions. Some important factors with the adoption of the technology involving construction, quality, conservation, energy, facing environmental, social, educational, and safety to the challenge. Smart city. And smart city is very important to the local government, and it's the private and public institutions. Is the smart city use technology to create efficient, sustainably, and lively urban environments for the well-being of residents. The IoT allows device management and ensures the optimization of public resource, improves the quality of service for citizens, and is very important. Reduce operating costs is very important. Is the stack. The integration of big data in IoT allows the transformation in the urban structure, facilitating data collection and conservation in quality information, optimizing the use of device to monitor the transport network, energy use, waste management, and public safety, as well as process automation. Is the image to the smart city. Big data. The big data is important to resource the data to transformation to the transformation data for the information. The identification of the smart city comes largely from the flow of data generated by sensors and processed through big data to create value. Big data provides insights for decision making, optimizing resource and improving public service. That is revolutionizes smart cities, improving people's lives through well-informed decisions. The importance of the three V's of big data: volume, variety, and velocity, is the representational figure. The volume is the velocity, and the variety is very important in the big data, and the importance of the big data to the smart cities. IoT, Internet of Things. IoT device alone capturing thousands of data from various metrics for later storage to big data. A smart city must take advantage of connect sensors to IoT. The IoT allows the integration of existing artifacts on the internet and integrate into different systems, allowing the design of a distributed network for communication between humans and different devices. The following figures is present a possible sensor architecture in the field of IoT. IoT board, process, storage, Wi-Fi sensors is the IoT device to the integration. IoT enables convenience, security, energy efficiency, and the optimized traffic flow through the use of data obtaining for sensors. To the methodology adopted in this work is design science research for solving organizations problems and allowing the production of innovative artifacts that are generated from IoT device and with big data strategy. Analyzing are carried out with the consequent presentation of the phase of the proposed process sequence. Is the implementation to process the DSR to the importance of big data and the IoT in the smart city is the methodology. Case study for a smarter future. Is case study to present, for example, to the implementation the big data and IoT in the smart cities. The increase in the world population as well as is in consumption will force changes in the habits of the population. Technological advances will be essential to meet the needs of populations as well as protecting the environment. The big data application allows the sharing of knowledge among the population, as well as facilitating the collection, analyzing, interpretation, and the response to needs in real time. Big data personalizes information through IoT that connects sensors to devices such as smartphones, household appliances, and home automation system. The relationship between big data and IoT allows for an adaptation of traditional concepts at the level of governance, education, health, architecture, and the resource management to meet the real needs of citizens. Discussion and conclusion about this term. Some final truths. The article intends to present some technologies that allow the design of the smart cities, the challenges and opportunities that cities and their inhabitants face. The combination of technologies such as big data and IoT allows the collection and analyzing of large amounts of data for strategic decision making. That is the integration is important. The integration of technology offers benefits such as greater efficiency and sustainability, the greater urban planning, resulting in smarter and more livable cities. For smart cities, it is important to develop parallel public policies with an approach to the risks of segregation and promotion of social inclusion. These policies must include digitization to ensure accessibility and involve citizens in decision-making processes. With these factors, smart city initiatives allow for sustainable and inclusive urban development. Is the important to the factors to the development implementation is the technologies what the IoT and big data is important to the smart cities. Is the presentation. Thank you and grateful for attention.
Any other participant, any question to George? Yeah, Professor Mishra.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. George. Whether this big data really big, how this IoT, there is a sensitive applications where the number of times you have to communicate. So how the big data, where this big data will access, what is the frequency of access of the data in the case of smart city applications?
Is the question?
Yes, please.
Is the importance to the smart cities?
Yes.
The smart cities?
Yeah.
Is the very important to the is the resource to the data included technologies is very important to the concentration to the information for the local government is the data to resource data to the information to decision in the institutionation private and public is dynamic to the citizen, dynamic to the institutions, is very important to development to the enterprise institutions. Is very important. Is global. Is the future. Is the future smart cities contemple to the big data to organize the data and information.
Okay.
And
Thank Right. I got it. I got it, your answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor George. It's an interesting study and good work. Keep it up. Best wishes and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we have come to the end. So I sincerely thank our authors for their excellent presentation and contribution in this session. And I hope this session was informative enough. We, on behalf of the whole team, thank you for the support during the 7th version and all the previous 6 versions of the conference. We will be happy to have you in the 8th version in 2024. All the presenters would be getting their digital certificates through email within 2 working days. And further all, the papers have already been forwarded to the Springer. The publication will be live within 6 months. Kindly cooperate with the team of WS4 2023. And I also thank our session chair, Dr. Nitesh Bhatt and Dr. Durgesh Mishra for chairing the session. A token of appreciation to the chair on the behalf of the team, World S4 2023, and Global Knowledge Research Foundation and partners. Thank you for your valuable presence.
Thank you, Gargi. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. And now I would like to request you all to please turn on the cameras so that we can take a quick snapshot.
Gargi, I would just like to take 30 seconds.
Yes, sir, of course.
There were 6 papers, and look at the theme of this particular conference: smart trends in systems, security, and sustainability. And if we look at the papers, out of 6 papers, we had a paper related to smart policing, which is related to security part. Also, the smart cities is also about security. Other papers, if you see, the first one, gamification, virtual reality, metaverse, smart city, big data. This is related to systems and smart trends. And we had one paper which was about photovoltaic cells, Amazon's jungle. This is about sustainability. So entire theme of 3 words: sustainability, smart trends in systems, and security. All the 3 dimensions are covered, and I'm really happy. I think this was very comprehensive enough, and we request all the participants to take their research initiative forward. Best wishes.
Right. Pointed by the Nitesh, right, Dr. Nitesh. Right. It's absolutely right. Thank you.
Please turn your camera for a photograph. It will be nice remembrance for all of us.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your valuable time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we are thankful to GR Foundation, Dr. Amit. Thank you, and entire team.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And thank you all participants. Thank you. Thank you.